The meeting will come to order. We are now holding our regularly scheduled meeting held November 17, 2015 at 9 a.m. And at this time, I would like to call on Teddy Floyd to give the invocation, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by myself. But before we do that, if we would all just rise in a moment of silence for the victims in Paris.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you for this commission. I thank you for all the sheriff and our command staff. I thank you for our community. God, we ask that you give us understanding and wisdom today to be able to make the right decisions, things that will benefit in River County in the future, God. We ask that you just protect us and guide us. In the world we live in, we ask that you spread abroad and just touch those victims in Paris, God, that you look over and they help their bereaved families, God. And God, you just help us to stand together. Continue to do the right thing, God. Continue to fight for what is right. Justice, God. And when it's over, we'll give you the praise. Let us say amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, this moves us to the portion of the agenda where we will select a new chairman and vice chairman, so I will hand the gavel over to our county attorney, Mr. Dylan Reingold. Or, excuse me, that's habit.
A little taller, a little more
deputy
hair.
County attorney, a little taller, a little more hair, yes, sir. That's Mr. Bill DeBraw. So, Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd now open the floor to nominations for the position of chairman.
Mr. DeBraw?
County. I recognize
I nominate Bob
Mr.
Solari.
O'Brien.
I've nominated Bob Solari.
What were you going to do?
Commissioner O'Brien. I open the floor to
I had
nominations.
somebody else in mind. It kind of looks like it's with honor and privilege that I would like to nominate Commissioner Bob Solari to be chairman of the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners.
I can second that.
I've got a motion from Commissioner O'Brien and a second from Commissioner Zork. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the floor to nominations.
So moved. Second.
Motion by O'Brien, seconded by Davis to close the floor. Proceed to vote on closing the floor to nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
I'd now open the floor to nominations for vice
Mr.
chair.
DeBraw?
Yes.
I'd like to
Commissioner
nominate Commissioner Joe Flesher
I'll
to
second
be
that.
vice chairman.
Got a nomination from Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Are there any other nominations? Motion to close the floor to
So moved.
nominations.
Seconded.
Moved by Commissioner
And somebody
Davis,
else
seconded
in
by Commissioner O'Brien. Proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chairman.
And it's nice to see some unanimity in making some of these decisions, unlike some other boards.
Always is.
Well, just as long as we get the seating chart done correctly.
Isn't that, can we go ahead and take care of that? Or how do you want to?
They do it during the break.
During the break?
So
Take it at the break.
Okay.
But now the most
be done by then.
vocal voice about short meetings now has the gavel.
Yeah.
So we will see the true chairmanship here, I think.
Pass the gavel to the
Commissioner,
chairman.
just to understand the wisdom of boards that have come before us, they have that built-in mechanism called the Solari mechanism where the chairman cannot make a motion.
Exactly.
So that will speed everything up substantially.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman Solari, I know we spoke a little bit last meeting about Commissioner Davis. I just want to reiterate, I think he did a great job over the last year and
Yes.
did a fantastic job guiding us through a few very tough issues, all aboard Florida, the Bureau Electric, things like that. And so
Labor
just
negotiations was my labor of love.
the labor negotiations, yes, sir. But just to reiterate, I think
13 hours.
Commissioner Flesher had made some remarks last week, but just to reiterate all that, I think you did a great job, and thank you very much for your service to us.
Well, and thank you for your confidence in giving me the gavel for the past year. Thank you.
Thank you. And, Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to thank you for your service, and it's times like these as I look forward to the next year that if I do well, it's only because I'll be standing on the shoulders of giants. So, thank you.
Golly.
With that, we'll move on to the meeting. Are there any additions and deletions to the agenda? Any emergency items? I'm going to note that we pulled 5B, and I'd like us, if we could, to move 15B1, which is a waste management in the presentation, to replace 5B.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
We have a motion to approve and a second from Commissioner Davis, a second from Commissioner Flesher. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. We move on to 5A, proclamations and presentations. A presentation of a proclamation designating the month of November 2015 as National Adoption Awareness Month. And as I wasn't chairman, I don't know who has the...
I have it.
Commissioner Zorc, I hand it over to you.
Thank you. Welcome, Frank. Let me read the proclamation, then if you could share a few words, that would be wonderful. This is a proclamation designating the month of November 2015 as National Adoption Awareness Month. Whereas, for more than a century, Children's Home Society of Florida has upheld our legacy of transforming the lives of children and families, and whereas, on any given day, approximately 125 to 175 children are awaiting adoptions on the Treasure Coast, and in the last 3 years, over 350 children have been given the gift of forever families. And whereas Children's Home Society of Florida, Treasure Coast Division, works diligently with the Department of Children and Families to ensure that every child has a forever family. And whereas children waiting for adoptive parents and families who have adopted these children require and deserve community and agency support. And whereas Children's Home Society of Florida, along with its community partners, embraces opportunities that can potentially change the way society cares for children and youth. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, Indian River County, Florida, that the month of November 2015 be designated as National Adoption Awareness Month. In Indian River County, in honor of this event, we encourage communities, agencies, religious organizations, businesses, and others to celebrate adoption, honor families that grow through adoption, further an awareness of the changes and issues in adoption, and focus attention on those children who live in the shadow of an uncertain future while they wait for forever families. Adopted this 17th day of November 2015, signed by all 5 county commissioners. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen. Indian River County has...
Your name and address for the record.
I'm so sorry. Yes, Frank Avila, Children's Home Society. I'm the adoption marketing specialist. Indian River County has always gotten it, and we appreciate it. We've been, since 2007, we've been fortunate enough to utilize the building right across the street here as one of our locations for our, what we call our Heart Gallery of Okeechobee and the Treasure Coast. That is our traveling photographic exhibit of our more difficult to place children in the foster care system that we're trying to find adoptive homes for. These are our children that are sibling groups, older children, minority or biracial children, children with physical, emotional, or behavioral issues. Just yesterday in Indian River County Court, we had the finalization of 10 children during National Adoption Month. 3 of those were a sibling group of 3 that were featured on the Heart Gallery, and we're thrilled about that. During the month of November, we expect to have approximately 30 adoptions throughout the Treasure Coast, which will bring our total for this fiscal year up to approximately 65, with our goal being 123 by the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th. Just to give you an example, last fiscal year, 14-15, our goal was 120 adoptions, and we were fortunate enough to finalize 158.
That's awesome. Great.
Just behind me, Michael Kint from United Way of Indian River County, they have funded the Heart Gallery as part of our adoption marketing and outreach plan. Not a lot of folks have, agencies have a marketing person or a way to reach out to our families. It's usually just those very overworked caseworkers, which we have. However, being able to promote the need for adoptive homes, having a position such as mine where we're able to get out there and spread the message. Again, Indian River County gets it, absolutely gets it. I would close by saying that This coming Saturday, November 21st, we are having our National Adoption Day celebration from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Langford Park in Jensen Beach. It is a free family-style picnic that we invite all of our adoptive families to, as well as the community at large. It is free food, free drink, activities, face painting, all kinds of different things taking place for those entire 3 hours. So I would invite anyone that is here or listening to come on out and join us, and we will recognize those families that have adopted, as well as to continue to raise awareness of the need for local permanent homes for our children in care. Again, I thank the County of Indian River so very much for this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. That's awesome. Very nice. Thank you so much.
We'll now move to the new 5B, which is a waste management presentation. Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning. For the record, Vincent Burke, Director of Utility Services. We have Waste Management here. Lisa McKnight will be giving a short presentation, and after that presentation, then staff will go over the agenda item 15B1. So here's Lisa McKnight with Waste Management.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairman Davis, fellow commissioners. As you know...
We have a new chairman now.
Yeah, does that effective today? As you know, I'm Lisa McKnight with Waste Management. The customers and the communities that we serve are most important to Waste Management. We have served a large part of Indian River County for the past 40 years. Now, as we move forward to provide waste and recycling services to nearly all Indian River County residents, you will see Waste Management even more visible throughout the community. Waste Management and our employees are already taking a much more active role in the community, and we have plans to be participating in community events that are important to Indian River County. You will see us at the upcoming Turkey Trot, and of course our forthcoming contributions to the United Way, which serves this community on so many levels. Our community outreach is as important to Waste Management as it is to Indian River County, because it allows us to get to know our customers and to help serve your growing needs. It will also give Waste Management the opportunity to educate your residents. Just last week, we worked with your Public Service Department and created a video. That video is now on your public broadcast, and that will allow your residents to see how to properly place and utilize the carts within the community. Just to kind of give you an update, we know in speaking with many of you, the services are definitely improving much more to the standards that you anticipated here. And we still continue to get new sign-ups. We've had just about 142 new starts last week. And our phone call volume continues to go down, which is very good. And our missed pickup recovery and ETA process that we've been closely monitoring continues to move in a very favorable direction. We're pleased to say that the data, Sonry is the system that we utilize that allows the county staff to be able to look at the information between where the carts are and how they're serviced is finally up and running. So we will be providing some training to the staff and any of the commissioners that would like to view that firsthand. It will probably take place the week after Thanksgiving. And also, we have invited many of you to come and ride along with the trucks and see some of the technology that we have firsthand, and we hope that you do take us up on that offer. And of course, we are very well prepared for the holiday schedule that's upcoming next week.
Can you elaborate for me just a little bit about the information that's now available and that we're going to get with everybody on? What exactly is that supposed to do?
Okay, the name of the system that we utilize is Sonry, and it is
what?
Sonry. It's Sonrai.
Okay.
And that is the system that allows the RFID tag and all the cart placement to be viewed, basically a map. And as we go through and we service and the ping takes place to service the cart, then the staff can see when the truck was there to service that resident.
Okay. All right.
So it's great technology. Mm-hmm.
And just to follow up on that, Lisa, does our solid waste, either Vinny or Himanshu, have a tablet or a way to monitor those as well?
Yes, they all have sign-ins to be able to watch from their computers.
Okay,
and
good.
I'm sure we could probably expand that to you if you're interested.
I don't think I need to, but I think it'd be good if our solid waste staff had access to it.
They
That's
do.
great.
And we'll be doing the training probably the week after Thanksgiving.
I agree with Commissioner O'Brien. I mean, I don't sleep good at night, but I sleep a little bit better than that. So.
Any other comments from the board?
Lisa, thank you. I think I have to wholeheartedly agree that things got significantly better, overwhelmingly better. A lot of the glitches, I know that I could probably cancel out the second phone line at home, and I know the ladies that work upstairs are quite pleased too. Most of their efforts were responding to these calls. There are just a few, and again, those would be the anticipated ones that we had expected in the transition, that you expected in the transition as well. But overall, I think the system has... you have taken over, the system has taken over, and I believe that the citizens are getting the service that they deserve, that they expected. I appreciate the invite on the truck, and guys, if, you might want to hold out a negotiation, because I was able to negotiate a couple of hits on the throttle to pick up the can, so, you know. That's not initially offered, but no, we appreciate that, and we will see the center. We will not be seeing the one out west, but we will see our local efforts, and the site development is running on course now, and we won't have any fuel issues as well. It's just, I think it's all coming together, so thank you.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate your patience in this last month.
Just real quick, what I think is amazing. I'm sorry. Take me some time to get used to it. Mr. Chairman, may I?
This is transition day.
Thank you.
It will go smooth.
Yes. I'm going to put a rubber band on that. Can I, just real quick for the benefit of the other commissioners that may not know, talk about the numbers of sign-ups versus what you anticipated.
Okay. Originally, through the RFP process, it was identified that there would be approximately 17,000 single-family homes. We are up to over 26,000 new starts, and that is continuing on a daily basis. We had, again, last week, just about 142 new starts. So that's continuing very nicely.
Well, ultimately, I see it eventually getting to the point where that's moving closer and closer to curbside pickup countywide. But that's not going to happen this year. Don't worry.
We'll be ready.
All right.
Well, Lisa, thank you very, very much for the update. I know we're all looking forward to seamless service during the holidays. That's probably the next big hill. And it does seem like your valued communications expert is doing a great job. So we appreciate that.
And Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
And also, here before too long, I would like to find out just how successful we are with it. I don't know at what point, whether it's the holidays would give us a skewed number, I'm sure, as far as how successful our single stream is with the volumes. So maybe we need to wait till after the first of the year, or maybe right now. I don't know. But I really, this has been at first it was a pretty good hit on the chin for this board. And we're doing it for a specific reason, and it'd be nice to be able to at least let everybody know that, hey, if this is working or not working.
Exactly. I'm not sure if the county has some of the information that they'll probably go into. Okay. We have not received the reports as of yet.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Okay, we can ask Vinny to come up just very quickly and answer that question, if you'd like, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yes.
Sure. For the record, Vincent Burke, Director of Utility Services. We are over about 30% increase on the single stream recycling from the tonnages that we looked at last year for the dual stream to the single stream coming in right now. So we are running the reports. As soon as we get those reports, we'll share them with Waste Management, not only for the garbage coming in, but to answer your question, Commissioner, we're over 30% increase on the tonnages for single stream.
At what point do we factor in growth, just organic growth of a new residents coming in?
We take a look at that. It's literally under about 2% as far as a year-to-year basis for a number of the COs that we track on our assessment coordinators. So we look at the growth in the system for a number of single-family homes that are coming online versus the added tonnages, because we do have more people that are now participating because they have been given the cart, because it's easier, because it's much more manageable to just wheel it down to the edge of the road. And I understand that you're contributing as well, so that helps.
Yes, I am. I really feel bad somebody's got to come all the way to my house to get this stuff, but
Yeah, over 30%, and we're going to look at the numbers for the garbage as well, just on the tonnages coming in to look at the increases that are out there.
And so what's important to this board, Vinny, is the 75%. So we're 30% up from where we were. So as far as our total, we're at what?
We're still under 50% right now, total, and we're looking at C&D, we're looking at organic waste. Again, organic waste is the big elephant in the room, so to speak. A lot of places are experiencing how to manage that organic waste because of the compost and because of the methane gas that it produces in the landfill. So we have, I think, a large hill to climb in terms of getting to that 75%, but the single stream is certainly the first big push in that right direction. So we will take a look at our numbers. We do an annual basis on a calendar year. We send that to the DEP, but we are steadily increasing our tonnages, at least on the single stream side, so that's a good thing.
And if the board likes, we can just ask Vinny to calendar a quarterly report on this for the next year, keep us up to date. So basically, the tonnages, the impact on trash, and your assessment of how it's going every quarter in the normal course of business.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Does Waste Management have anything else they'd like to?
No, I have nothing additional. Again, just thank you very much for your patience, and we look forward to probably servicing you over the holiday season next week.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Mr. Kent, would you like to come up?
If it's appropriate. Thank you very much, sir.
Always a pleasure having you, Mr. Kent.
Actually, I'm just meeting Lisa. We had a phone conversation. I knew this was on the agenda today. Joe Baird had actually called. I wanted to just, if I could, take the opportunity to very publicly thank Waste Management. I think thank you is probably due to Joe and his staff as well. I think to some extent they helped steer this. I think it's a great, as Claude Rain said in Casablanca, the beginning of a beautiful friendship and relationship. So it's all a good thing. We're pleased and honored that we were selected. And for the heck of it, I've been a Waste Management customer in the past. I'm a current customer. Transition for me, maybe I was fortunate, was good, but I'm glad that things are going well, and we're glad to have them as a community partner with us. I thank you, and I thank them.
Thank you.
And Michael, if you'd like to come back with Waste Management for a more formal presentation later in the date, we'd be happy to have you.
Thank you very much. That's one of the things we're going to connect with.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Chairman, if I may?
Commissioner Zork.
Also, thank you for the great work that United Way do, and I'd like to say that Waste Management has really been a partner in many nonprofits and participated in both staff resources, monetary contributions, and now with their bigger presence in the community, we look forward to growing that. I know I've attended events in other areas, and they've been an active sponsor in those, and I think we can look to just continue to grow that community involvement with them. But I could say for years, personal experience, that I've been at a number of events where they were an active participant in some role, and we just want to thank them for that in the past and continue growing that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Kent. Moving on to item 6, approval of the minutes, the regular meeting.
I think we need to take action on 15B1.
Yes. Counselor?
And have Vinny present that to us.
I think what we need to do as far as 15B1 would be to have a motion to approve the credit to the customers, to Indian River County, and the donation to the United Way.
So moved.
I think if the board wants to hear a presentation from Mr. Burke, that'd be fun.
I think for the benefit of the public.
Right. I think we should have this presented. Yep.
Before I go into that presentation, I just want to hit on what Commissioner Solari had said. Because we don't have a meeting next week, especially with the short week coming up with the holiday, we wanted to reach out to some of those folks who may be at home, who may be watching this, is to say, if you are a Thursday garbage customer on Thanksgiving, your new day will be Friday. And if you are a Friday garbage customer, your new pickup day will be Saturday, just for those 2 days. So everything shifts. If you're a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday customer of the Thanksgiving holiday, nothing changes. You'll still be picked up on your regular day. But again, if your normal day is Thursday, it will be picked up Friday. And if you're normally Friday, it will be picked up Saturday. So I just wanted to throw that out there for some folks who may have. We're going to put that information on our website. We're also going to be trying to do some stuff with Waste Management, perhaps robocalling, to let folks know of some of those changes so they're aware of what's going on, especially with the once-a-week pickup. So without further ado, I just wanted to go into the staff report. really, there's four main highlights to go over with the County Commission. On, I believe it was Monday, November 9th, the executive team of Waste Management consisted of Ronald Kaplan, their attorney, and Tim Hawkins, who is the president of Waste Management Incorporated of Florida, met with County Attorney Dylan Reingold and County Administrator Mr. Joe Baird here in the county offices in an effort to try to move the process forward, rather going over the liquidated damages and some of the penalties that may exist per the franchise agreement for some of the missed pickups and some of the carts not being delivered. There was an agreement to try to move this process forward. And really that stems to four key salient points. The first being, for current residential municipal solid waste customers, there will be a 1-month credit. Again, each customer is charged $9.68 per month. However, because of the way that Waste Management does that billing, that credit will not go into effect until January of 2016. They bill in advance for the services that they provide, so the October-November billing has already been completed. Therefore, that credit will show up on the customer's bill, the residential customer's bill, in January of 2016. So that's the salient point number one. The second is, for residential recycling customers, typically the non-ad valorem assessments include the recycling charges. When you pay your taxes on the tax bill from the trim notice, those are collected by the tax appraiser through the Solid Waste and Disposal District. Because of the COs and some of the stuff that we track with our assessment quarterly, a invoice is submitted to the Solid Waste and Disposal District for the recycling services. That covers the cost of the new blue bin, that covers the cost of going out to pick up the recycling services. So Waste Management agrees to give the county a credit for 1 month of those recycling services. That's point number two. The third point is that, as you know, the Waste Management team will be donating $25,000 to the local United Way Foundation to be used in the community as appropriate by United Way. And last but not least is the education outreach. There'll be a video presentation. There's already one on the site. Thank you to Scott for putting that out there for residents to be able to learn how to separate their carts, how to put their carts out, and what not to put into the recycling. So we'll be working closely with Waste Management and their outreach team, with Stephanie Voss, our education recycling coordinator, to make sure that we have enhancements for that video that can be broadcast to those folks so that they are aware of what's going on during our continuing education process. Now, unbeknownst to me, I received this letter from Waste Management last night, so it differs a little bit than the agenda item that you have voted today. And that difference is that Waste Management has asked for, and I'll just read you the verbatim. Given the large number of anticipated exchanges, cart exchanges will not be required to be completed in the prescribed calendar date and time frame within the franchise agreement from the time Waste Management receives notice of the need for the exchange. Waste Management will use its best commercial efforts to promptly complete the exchanges. So that was something that was just brought to my attention last night. Why is this important? Well, the franchise agreement stipulates that within 3 business days of being notified, Waste Management will have a cart out to residents. And the language that I just wrote to you is a little bit different than what the franchise contract agrees to. So if the board is in concurrence with that allowance for Waste Management to exercise its due diligence to get these carts out as quickly as possible, then certainly staff is in support of all the stuff that's in the agenda packet, as well as this one-page summary that's been submitted by Waste Management for approval. So really, staff is looking for approval to either have the county administrator and or the county attorney to be able to sign off if the board is in agreement with the proposal submitted by Waste Management received by staff last night.
Commissioner Davis.
Just a couple of things. I'd like to find out, if we could, what was unanticipated per se, and I would imagine just the sheer volume, and that's my versus what was the volume of requests versus the actual versus what was anticipated to be requested, if I could, and then also the. I'm a little leery. I mean, telling me there's no end to that, the way that language is written, and I don't think that's their intent. So, if somebody could kind of help me with that before I make my decision.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner O'Brien.
I was going right down that same road, Commissioner Davis. I think I don't have any problem, say, waiving that 3-day requirement for 3 months or something, the first 3 months of 2016. Because of the expected high demand. You know, I think that's reasonable, but yeah, I don't think it should just be an open-ended change so that a year from now, customer needs a cart swap, it should be done within 3 days. So I think some type of reasonable time frame of waiving that 3-day requirement would make sense, but I agree, I don't want it open-ended. And then just going back to the other things, I just want to kind of highlight the 1-month recycling credit to the county is approximately $180,000 savings to the county in the solid waste disposal district. So, I think that's a fairly significant number that Waste Management is putting up to correct that first month. And then also at $9.68 a month in 26,000 plus garbage customers, that's going to be north of $260,000 of credit there. So the total contribution there is the $440,000 and $25,000 to United Way. It's let's just say north of $450,000 that Waste Management is refunding or investing in the community. And I just want to publicly commend them for that. It's a significant dollar amount, and I think it shows the commitment Waste Management wants to make to our community, and to by stepping forward and putting this agreement out there, it avoids a lot of potential litigation and things we don't want. We want to be able to sit down with Waste Management and say, yeah, we had a rocky month, but we really are looking forward to the next 6 years and 11 months of great service. And so I think this is a very fair settlement for the residential customers who are getting that month credit, because October really was kind of a disrupted month. So I think it's fair, but I think it's a serious commitment by Waste Management to correct the issue and to show that they are committed to our community. So I just want to publicly say I think it's a great offer, and I'll fully support it when we get to the motion and a vote. But just, again, going back to that 3-day thing, I think a reasonable time frame to waive it but not make it indefinite would be appropriate.
Okay. I'd like to ask Vinnie or Mr. DeBrawl, can we go ahead and approve the staff recommendation today and hold off on the other? I mean, I also don't like just heard about it now and having to make a decision on it. And I'd like to have our staff have a little time to look at it and us to think out about what it really means as it rolls out.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I think the direction to staff would be to bring back an agreement with the elements that you agree upon, and then an explanation of any cart exchanges for the 3-month period or whatever staff might be able to negotiate with Waste Management.
And that won't get to us until after Thanksgiving, so we'll see at least how they perform over that period.
One thing I forgot to say, too, is Waste Management, and I agree with what you're saying, Commissioner. They are offering that credit not only for the existing residential customers in January, but they're offering that credit for any new customers that come on. And to your point, Commissioner, we started looking at some of those numbers, and we're over 50% of subscription-based services in the unincorporated part of the county. So we do have a large number. I think in the RFP we estimate about 34%. So really, between the numbers that Waste Management has reported and the numbers that we're calculating now, we're over that 50% subscription-based services. So that's a commitment from Waste Management for those customers now, but also they've committed through the life of the contract for any new customers that come on that they will be giving that initial 1-month credit as well. And I forgot to mention that. I apologize.
Super. Just, and Lisa, would a 3-month period on the 3-day thing be reasonable? I mean, just while you're here, let's...
Yes. Our intention was only during this large initial cart swap that will take place starting January 1. We're up to just about 800 residents that have requested the switch out, so to do that in 3 days would be pretty difficult.
Right, so. But 3 months would be a good window for you to work within.
3 months would be more than enough.
Okay.
And so with that said, just to look at it, whenever I first got mine, I said, wow, this is big. Mm-hmm. After I started using it, I'm thinking, wow, this is about right. And so my question is, are those calls that have come in, are people going to follow back up with them just to confirm one last time that you did request one? Are you sure you still want to do that?
Yes, we plan on making out dials to each one of the residents that have requested it to ensure that they would still like to have the smaller cart.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
One last one. With the crew staffing that you'll have on the swap out on a planned day, how many swap outs could they do in a normal day cycle?
Because we'll actually be following the routes, it should be pretty dense. not knowing normally it would be about 400, but I would really have to work with our cart deployment team to understand that, and I can certainly get a better number to you.
That way, if you have 3,000 and you can do 300 a day or 400 a day, you can kind of see how that backlog could get absorbed fairly
Right,
quickly.
and I do believe we have several HOAs too, so those will be pretty easy when the whole HOA is requesting a smaller cart. Those will be pretty quick.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Fletcher.
You want this separated now?
We can have one motion to include both parts of that you'd like, if anybody would like to make that motion.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the understanding from Waste Management that there will be an adjustment to the customer, adjustment to the county, and the United Way understanding and new relationship, as well as the paperwork with the understanding that this will be a temporary, a 3-month commitment or a waiver of the commitment.
Second.
We have a motion, a motion from Commissioner Fletcher, a second from Commissioner O'Brien. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Lisa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
The 25,000 that United Way is contributing, is that
Receiving.
25,000 going to be only benefit the contract and not the whole Vero Beach? And
Waste Management is making a $25,000 donation to United Way.
right now, that 25,000 to United Way, is that going to provide service to the customers that are under this existing contract, the 25
No, this
United
will not-
Way, or is it going to go towards all of United Way, however they want to?
Bob, we do everybody's recycling with the exception of River Shore.
All right, so the people that are in Vero Beach that weren't under this contract still have will be able to take advantage of the United Way.
We do their recycling.
25,000.
Commissioner Davis, calm down.
Okay.
As Commissioner Davis was pointing out, the city of Vero Beach is covered by the recycling agreement. And my understanding is that the United Way donation will be given to United Way, and they'll decide how they want to distribute it for the benefit of the entire county.
So those of us that lived in South County may not be able to take advantage of the benefits of United Way 25,000.
Are you?
I believe the United Way program...
I'm just asking a basic question.
No, it's not going to be specific, as I understand it, it's not going to be specifically pinpointed to any geographical area. United Way will have the ability to add $25,000 to the total that they spend on their programs.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to the approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of October 13th.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Fletcher, a second from Commissioner O'Brien. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Moving on to information items. We've got two, an update regarding the 2015 amnesty program for certain delinquency charges relating to utilities, and another with the transportation disadvantage annual hearing. Does anybody want to pull either of those? Commissioner O'Brien.
Just to comment, Mr. Chairman, on the amnesty thing, I'm a little pleasantly surprised how that turned out. There's actually 7 accounts that participated, and it resulted in payments of over $358,000 to the utility. So I think, looking back, it was a good option to go with that amnesty. So I think, in my mind, that was a successful option that we put out there. And then just on that transportation disadvantage, just for the public, that public hearing is November 19th at 10 o'clock in the morning at conference room B1 in the county.
And I'd like to note that meeting, the staff person is Phil Mattson, and we know how good Phil runs meetings. So if any member of the public was going to come to an ad hoc or just show up at a committee meeting in Indian River County, the Transportation Disadvantage Annual Public Hearing on November 19th at 10 a.m. would be a great one to attend.
And I suggest we provide therapy, too. But anyhow, Mr. Chairman.
That's coming up later.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, Commissioner O'Brien, I appreciate your comments on the utility amnesty. There are other ones out there, and I really do believe that as we come out of this great throes of the Great Recession, there's more properties that are going to be appropriate for this. I probably won't be here whenever they come forward, but I would like just, I guess now, for you to keep this in mind, perhaps a year from now, whenever others will be in a similar situation, to be able to move this out sooner and get this money back in the Utilities Department.
Commissioner Davis, all I can suggest to you, if you want to follow this up, you could certainly run for your seat again.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
I'll get on that side of the podium and beg for you to have that.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any commissioner want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item G, please.
Any other items from the commissioners? Would anybody from the audience like to pull any item off the consent agenda for discussion?
Move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Davis, a second from Commissioner Flesher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Commissioner O'Brien, item G.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resurfacing project of County Road 512 from 125th Avenue in Fellsmere to I-95. And part of it is widening the existing paved shoulders to 5 feet width. I did check with Public Works Director Chris Mora. He did say that 5 feet is sufficient to serve as a bike lane, and that we will be painting in the bicycle symbol for that section. So I just want to bring that yes. Continuing with our goal to try to be more bike and pedestrian friendly and safer. And with that, I'll move approval of the 8G.
We have a motion from Commissioner O'Brien, a second from Commissioner Flesher to approve the item. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to constitutional officers and government agencies, Indian River County Supervisor of Elections, Leslie Swan, and we have a stand-in for Supervisor Swan.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners. I'm Gary Gordon, IT Manager, Supervisor of Elections Office. Supervisor Swan is unable to attend this morning because she is doing a candidate workshop. Today we need to elect a canvassing board member and an alternate for the upcoming 3 elections, presidential primary, the primary, and the general election in which we will elect a new United States President. So,
thank you, Mr. Gordon. This is a great opportunity. I did it last year and enjoyed myself. It was a great time. I'd love to do it this year, but unfortunately I'm running for office, so that disqualifies me. So I'll ask if there's anyone from the board who'd like to volunteer for this great job.
Be happy to.
Commissioner Flesher.
I think either one of us would be happy to serve.
I saw Commissioner
Flesher?
Actually, I think that there's an opportunity for both of us because we have to have an alternate, and we are the only 2 that are eligible. So I guess that we're at the...
Have both of y'all had the opportunity to be the canvassing board member?
Yes,
I have before.
yes. And I will agree that it's a very rewarding experience. The team is absolutely incredible to work with.
Thank you.
Nominate Commissioner Flesher then, and Commissioner O'Brien as the alternate, or you want them separate? Or?
No, I'm good. Any other nominations?
Well, it could only be the other way around.
Well, that would be it. We just want to give the opportunity in case anybody does. So there being none, all in favor?
Aye.
So it's Commissioner Flesher and Commissioner O'Brien. Commissioner Flesher as the main and Commissioner O'Brien as the alternate. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
I'd just like to give you some election facts before I leave. In the last 12 months, we've been averaging 300 to 400 new voter registrations every month.
Wow.
And Indian River County hit a milestone this year. We went over 100,000 registered voters. So our county is growing.
Super. Great. Anything else? Thank you very much, Mr. Gordon. Moving on to public items. Under B, public discussion items, we have a request to speak from Nick Schaus regarding All Aboard Florida. Good morning. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. Good morning. Nick Schaus. It's N as in Nicholas, as opposed to written on the your
agenda. On the
agenda.
actual request, it's very clearly an N, so it must have been a typo.
Thank you. Sable Oak Drive in
But he said that.
Vero Beach. The 17th of the month is a significant day for me in addressing this commission. It's always the 17th. It was the 17th of March 2014 when I was allowed to address you and urge you to use your staff to start doing the homework to prepare for the environmental impact statement. And that went, you did that, and as you know what history was, we issued a great report, and then the next statement came out, the final statement, and you continue to do a great report. The next 17th was February 17th, 2015, where many of us urged you to adopt a resolution to put $2.5 million into a legal fund to fight All Aboard Florida. And you did, and that has been a terrific leadership thing of all 3 counties in the Treasure Coast. It's resulted in a lawsuit against FDFC, probably 2 lawsuits, along with Martin County, and that's been a powerful move. The All Aboard Florida PR has constantly said it's a done deal, that money is wasted taxpayer money, and they're going to continue to do that, but ignore that. Just do the math. You guys are good at math with this waste management thing. $2.5 million is about $43 per household of this county. And I tell you, the households probably save $43 in gas in 1 month or 2 months compared to last year. It's a good thing to do. That fund, keep at it, please. One of the things that's accomplished is the bond, the 1.75 billion bonds that the All Aboard Florida is trying to sell, were withdrawn from the market yesterday, and they said, we're just going to take a deep breath and come back and maybe in January see what we're going to do. That wasn't reported today in the newspaper here, and I doubt it would be reported in 32963. Those papers have been sort of on the, well, it's a done deal, and let's just relax. So thank you very much for that support, and keep at it. And you had a tangible result yesterday with that bonds being, but what we buying is time. They can always go back, get that slippery guys in New York and find another way to finance this thing. What we have to do is to do something that will stop the train. My friend in the moorings, George Bryant, submitted a proposal to your legal department to utilize the county's zoning and land use regulations to stop the All Aboard Florida. The All Aboard Florida passenger train meets the textbook definition of a material expansion of a nonconforming use. Now, if we enforce local zoning laws, I believe the courts will support any such enforcement which would stop All Aboard Florida. It has nothing to do with freight trains. The Federal Surface Transportation Board has found that the All Aboard Florida passenger trains is an intrastate operation not within STB's jurisdiction. Accordingly, passenger trains will be defeated permanently by your enforcement of your local laws of nonconforming use. Indian River County Code presently provides, quote, generally no nonconformity shall be enlarged, increased, or changed to a different nonconformity, except upon a determination by the Director of Community Development or his designee that the change results in lessening of the degree of a nonconformity, unquote. It's a very simple legal action to start. File in our county court. I think the charge is $125. You don't have to go to Washington. You don't have to go to Tallahassee or Orlando. When you're all set, your legal team can enjoy the 6-block walk down to the courthouse to file papers. Give us a little notice, and we'll provide a marching band and have it a good. This will completely deny the right to use the tracks for passenger rail. Please ask your legal team to make this a priority on their agenda. Thanks very much for all your help.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Davis.
That's pretty intriguing because I understand that the change of use, whenever you have a change of use, it really does, specifically with a building, it makes it to where you have to bring them up to the new 2015 building codes, the ADA requirements. And that's as simple as taking a law office and turning that law office into a classroom or vice versa. And so that's an interesting point that I wouldn't mind having legal look into that. In fact, I'd go ahead and make that in the form of a motion.
Mr. DeBrawl?
No, if you direct staff to, or county attorney staff to take a look at it and bring something back, that'd be fine.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and to ask county legal staff to take a look into the idea that we pass some ordinances to...
You wouldn't need to do that. No, the change of use would simply be coming back and saying, oh, okay, listen, this is considered a change of use. You're using an intrastate. You're using
it's an expansion of a non-conforming use.
Well, I get what you're saying.
I understand where you're going with.
And this is as much working with the legal department with our community development department to make a determination about whether or not this non-conforming use. This is a non-conforming use.
It is.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting.
It's my understanding that any town, Vero Beach, Sebastian, Fort Pierce, any town can do this.
Interesting.
But we've been the leader, so I put it on your plate first.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, still, if you can re-articulate the motion.
It's as simple as have our legal department get with our community development department and see if they believe that there could be a non-conforming use here that they're doing going from passenger rail or from freight rail to passenger rail, and that it is in fact an expansion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Davis, a second from Commissioner
Now,
Zorn.
just have to say, they have had passenger rail before,
right?
But hadn't been there for a while. But the 32 passenger trains a day would be a substantial expansion.
Right.
I think we have a 1 year
And the speed.
window.
We have a 1 year window, and it's pretty low threshold, and that is, has the electricity been on?
Right.
That's for it to be continuing as. Let's suppose that a law firm was in a building. The law firm moved out of that building. As long as the landlord left the electricity on, in 2 years a law firm can move back in that building and not have to make the modifications.
I think they got to show that there's more than just keeping a night light on. That there's got to be, in your example, there's got to be legal activity going on in the building.
Got to be usage. Yeah. I think that's what we ran into
That's
previously.
a pretty low threshold to overcome.
Yes.
But still, there hadn't been a passenger train in years.
Yeah. Right now, that I agree with.
Right. So the 1 year thing would apply, I think.
Okay, the motion from Commissioner Davis, the second from Commissioner Zork. Anybody from the audience wish to comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Nick Strauss.
We'll see you the next 17th.
I looked at the calendar. It's not for about 8 months.
No. We'll have to have
a special call meeting
for him.
There you go.
We'll move on to public items, and I'll ask Mr. DeBrawl to read them.
Thank you. First public notice item is a notice of a scheduled public hearing on December 1st, 2015, for the board to consider amending sections 103.09 and 207.02 of the Code of Indian River County with regard to sunsetting the Indian River County Enterprise Zone Development Agency. That matter is legislative. The second matter is a notice of a scheduled public hearing on December 1st, 2015, for the board to consider extending the existing 1-cent local government infrastructure sales surtax for an additional 15-year period. Again, that matter is legislative.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeBrawl. Moving on, we get to county attorney matters, and I'll ask Mr. DeBrawl to handle the first one, which is a Tourist Development Council vacancy appointment.
Thank you. There currently is an open position on the Tourist Development Council for an hotel operator, owner, manager. There are two people that have applied for this, Mr. William Collins and Mr. Zachary McCarran. Both qualify as far as the position is concerned. There's, in your backup material, there are the applications and the resumes for both candidates. The board is to decide today which candidate they'd like to appoint to the Tourist Development Council.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Davis.
I move to approve Mr. Collins.
Second.
We have a motion and a second motion for Commissioner Davis, second for Commissioner Fleischer. Any other nominations? They take the vote for Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Mr. Collins, welcome to the Tourist Development Council.
Thank you.
I
want to warn you, though, that and a cup of coffee will get you a cup of coffee is about as good as it gets. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to publicly congratulate Mr. Collins, but in addition, I'd like to let Mr. Collins know that he needs to go upstairs and grab a packet. We have a meeting on December 9th at 2 o'clock.
I will be there. Appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Zachary McCarran for applying.
Yes.
It's good to have a choice, and I appreciate everybody who's interested in serving on one of our committees. Thank you, and have a great day. We'll move on to B, Construction Board of Adjustment Appeals Committee appointment.
Congratulations.
Again, Mr. Chairman, this is an appointment for an open position on the Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. There is one applicant, Mr. John Walker. His backup material, his information is in your backup material. We'd ask that you consider the appointment.
What do we do here?
Well, we've just got one appointment, so anybody want to nominate Mr. Walker?
so moved.
A motion from Commissioner Davis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Fleischer. Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. And one more, Mr. DeGraw.
Finally, it's just the yearly reappointment of all the members. Staff has gone ahead and contacted all of the committee members and asked them if they would like to go ahead and serve again for the upcoming year on the committee. You can see the list in your backup materials of the folks that have responded affirmatively. Our recommendation is to go ahead and approve the list of the people that have responded. We will follow up later on in January with appointments for any vacancies for the folks that decided they did not want to participate in the committees again for this year. So the recommendation is to approve the existing list.
Thank you, Mr. DeGraw. Any comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, move approval of the reappointment list.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner O'Brien, a second from Commissioner Zork. Any comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to commission matters, Commissioner Davis.
Yes, this is just one of the things that we need to go ahead and finish up for the workforce consortium, and we had deferred it, and just wanted to find out where we were with it and whether that can go ahead and be approved or denied.
Well,
You're allowed to make a motion now, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Out of respect for Commissioner Solari,
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm happy for the board to do what it wants, but I'm going to actually be voting against this today, and I'll explain why. I had appreciated it when Commissioner Davis gave me the time to meet with somebody from Career Source, and I met with Mr. Richard Stetson on October 22nd. At that meeting, he presented me with a very nice binder. It was, very good, solid, 400 pages of material roughly in it. And it consisted primarily of an 80-page PowerPoint entitled A Year in Review, which consisted mostly in pictures and explanations of the pictures. Also included was a copy of Public Law 113-128, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 1998. The act was 296 pages, and I confess I did not read it, but I highly doubt that the members of Congress who passed the 296-page act ever read it themselves. In the binder, I could not find a Career Source mission statement or much at all, which would enable me to explain to my constituents why I would vote for the interlocal agreement. At the October 22nd meeting, I did ask for two items: Career Source financial statements and any information Career Source had that would indicate a return on the taxpayer's investment, or any cost-benefit analysis that Career Source had. I was told that both financial statements and return on investment information was available, and that both would be sent to me but to date I have received none. And interestingly, yesterday afternoon I was reading a new book by Judge James Buckley, who used to be a New York senator, and just one of the interesting things turned out to be applicable to this, and it deals with all of the bureaucracy that we have for doing different things in America today, including the fact that on a federal level we have 47 programs designed to put people back to work that are entrusted to the Department of Labor itself, and more from other departments. I'll just read part of one paragraph. That is a polite way of saying that although these programs authorize the expenditures of $18 billion, no one knows whether they are helping people find jobs. And commenting on the GAO's statement that little is known about the effectiveness of the 47 programs, Gregory Court observed that little was known because haven't had a performance review since 2004, and only 5 have ever had a study to determine whether job seekers in the program do better than those who do not participate. So, this board understands that I'm not too fond of a lot of bureaucracy to begin with, and any bureaucracy which can't give some indication of its value to the citizens, I think it's time to take a stand against. So, I'll be happy to entertain a motion, though, for the interlocal agreement from any other board member.
I'll move approval of the interlocal.
I'll second it.
Motion from Commissioner O'Brien, second from Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Passes 4-1. Commissioner Solari dissenting. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on, I have an item dealing with a resolution in support of Representative Mayfield's FMPA bill, and it's a memorandum dated November 10th, 2015, and I believe most of the commissioners know that Representative Mayfield is trying to pass a bill which will basically make the FMPA more transparent and accountable and present the type of financial information which I believe any elected official would want to know and which the citizens deserve to know. And what's attached is simply a resolution in support of Representative Mayfield's bill.
Motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Flesher, a second from Commissioner Davis. Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes, I'm all for this, although I think recently Senator Simpson filed a matching Senate bill.
Right.
And would it be appropriate to reference that in our summary that not only we want to support House bill, but also support the Senate bill? Because it's a matching companion.
Absolutely.
So if the motion can be modified just to, and I don't know, I don't have the number of the Senate bill in front of me, but I'm sure we can find it.
The legal department definitely has it. So
just insert Senate bill wherever appropriate in the resolution.
Happy to adjust with the companion bill.
Second, will too.
So we have got the amended motion to incorporate the reference to Senator Simpson's bill. Anybody from the audience wish to speak on this? Mr. Herron. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. My name is Glenn Herron. I live at 1964 Gray Falcon Circle. You all know, and I want to make this perfectly clear, I obviously support this bill. I support the sale of Bureau Electric to FP&L, and I think this bill will help us along that path. But for the sake of public discussion, I wouldn't. I'd ask for your thoughts on me playing devil's advocate for a moment. And I, again, to be clear, I do support this bill, but for the sake of public education and public discussion, I'd kind of like to play the opposition for a moment and what arguments they might make in opposition to this bill and perhaps in opposition to the sale. So allow me to begin with this. You might hear those opposed to selling the system or those opposed to this bill might say something like this. Well, you know I'm for the sale, but there's nothing we can do. Or they might say something like, what good does it do to figure out what the fair market value of the FMPA assets are when we don't own the assets, we can't get out of the contracts, in fact we can never leave the FMPA. So why support this bill? So I'd pose to you two questions. Why is fair market value important? And why can we leave the FMPA in a rational and reasonable manner that doesn't harm any of the other member cities or bondholders.
Oh, and would you like one of us to try to answer that, Mr. Harris?
Mr. Chair, if you would give it a whirl, I'd appreciate it.
Well, on that one first, we would all, I think everybody, any party who has a fiduciary duty to another party, and certainly any elected official does for its constituents, they would actually have a duty to try to understand the nature of their assets and liabilities. And with the City of Vero Beach, we've got an interesting thing with the other post-employment benefits. It turns out that the City of Vero Beach has some $30-some million of other post-employment benefits which hadn't been recognized for a while. And it finally, because of a Gatsby ruling, that became a requirement that they recognize it. And so now they're dealing with that. They're forced to suddenly deal with this large unfunded liability. Well, there may or may not be one with the electric, with the Florida Municipal Power Agency, but certainly any elected official would want to know whether they had one or not. So even if they couldn't get out initially, they can start planning, if it was a negative number, start planning for the future and putting aside the money so they suddenly weren't forced 20 years from now to pay off a $50 million liability if that were the case. Then there's the fact that this is a contract, and with every contract there's a way to get out of it through agreement between the parties. And it may be that the necessary information is not out there in the public to bring the parties together. But I certainly believe, and I believe this board believes, that if people had a good understanding of the information that's there, then not only customers of the City of Vero Beach system, but maybe other customers in other municipalities would say, it's time to get out. What we've been doing, and all we've been doing for the 38 years we've been members of the FMPA, is dig a bigger and bigger hole. Sanity says it's time to stop digging at least and figure out some way to get out of the hole going forward. And without that type of information, there is no hole. And then the fact that the bill would require the FMPA to actually set an exit price based on reasonable financial information, which now the public has an understanding of, that could easily lead in time to a sale by one or more municipalities.
Yeah, and I won't play devil's advocate now, but I think it's fairly clear that after 38 years of ownership, the public ought to have a right to know what its assets are worth. And to suggest that somehow that we don't own the assets, I mean, this is public business. And ultimately, it's the public who is either on the hook or has equity in these positions after that period of time. One would hope that after 38 years of ownership in the FMPA, we would actually have an equity position in that. That may not turn out to be the case. But at least understanding the fair market value, which I believe is a centerpiece of this bill, will give the public some understanding of exit costs, which at this point, in my opinion, appear to be capricious and arbitrary, that they're offering out to the public.
But I think it's important for everybody to understand this bill isn't really telling anybody to do something going forward other than make known to the public the type of financial information which the FMPA should have and which every fiduciary would want to have and which every customer really ought to have, especially if they're going to be liable for the bonds that the FMPA has. And so for me, this is simply a bill asking for the type of transparency which this board tries to put forward every day, to ask for the accountability which any government organization ought to have, and to basically set an exit price, a reasonable exit price, which should have been set from the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn, and all your efforts on this whole electric
You're very welcome.
issue.
So did we I believe Commissioner Fleischer made a motion for this?
That is correct.
And the second was from Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Zork.
One, with the resolution being forwarded to two different chambers, would we want to consider having two resolutions, one for the House version, one for the Senate version, or is that more semantics?
Probably more
Leave that up
semantics.
to Kate. Kate?
I was going to suggest the same thing, so we'll just let Kate decide the best way to go forward. And I do believe that the City of Vero Beach has a similar resolution that will be discussed at their evening meeting.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder if that's going to pass 3-2.
Or fail 3-2.
Yeah, more likely fail.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure Indian River Shores is going to take this up next.
They may. So, with no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have a matter from Commissioner Zork. Save the date. I'll let Commissioner Zork continue.
Yes. A couple years ago, I did a public workshop here in the chambers on the Indian River Lagoon. There's a lot of things that have changed, evolved, enhancements, and projects have been put in place. So we've looked at the calendar for the date of March the 3rd, 2016, to have a similar event, but with new, current, and up-to-date information to share with the community, and we'll keep the commission posted as that event gets a little closer to us.
Okay, and will this be a Board of County Commissioners matter or a Commissioner Zork matter?
Commissioner Zork matter. I think that's how I did it last time, I believe. That's the bill procedurally how we...
Yes, I believe that's correct. This was just something that you had organized.
Right. Okay, did you want a motion for that?
No, it's more just informational.
Okay. And moving on, we go to special districts and boards. We have Emergency Services District. We have minutes.
So move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 13th from Commissioner O'Brien, seconded by Commissioner Flesher. Any comments, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 15A2, approval of work order number 2 for Fire Rescue Station number 7, module units.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Flesher, a second from Commissioner Davis. Any discussion?
I just have a question. So, John, just where are we on moving 7 here? Because I thought a lot of this work had already been done, and we were being held up on a stormwater issue and some sewer hookups. But could you just update us where we are on moving these guys out of that 7?
Yes, sir. For the record, my name is John King, Emergency Services Director. Commissioner, you're correct. We have slowed down the process on the temporary temporary use permit that was provided, because we know at this site that we're going to be here for a short period of time, and we tried to redesign the stormwater and some of the utility hookups in an effort to save money, because in a couple of years that's going to be walkaway money, and right now everything is approved, it's moving forward, and we saved in the neighborhood of about $40,000 by slowing the project down a few weeks. Now that this is blessed today, we believe that probably in 4 to 5 weeks we will be in the new site.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Commissioner O'Brien?
Yeah, I guess I'm just, I just thought we were further along. And, I think this board wanted the firefighters out of that station as soon as we could. And just, I guess at this point, we just need to expedite this and get it done and get them moved.
I would like to say that the Public Works Director, Chris Mora, and Stan Bowling have helped us in every step of this process to be as quickly as possible through this process we could.
Okay, I'll just reiterate the words of Commissioner O'Brien. We would like this to move as fast as possible, and if anything seems to be getting in your way, let us know so we can try to do whatever we can to move it forward.
Thank you very much, and staff understands our direction, and we are doing everything we can. I will give you an update as soon as I have more information on the move. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? There being none, Chair will entertain a motion. We'll vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. And I will note for Commissioner Davis's comments about the speed of the meeting. The first one is concluded before the break, and I believe that time in the spreadsheet will show that my average time this year.
Commissioner, keep in mind, I was chairman when they put this agenda together, and I told them, please take it easy on you for your first one.
And I always appreciate the help that you give me. And during my 8 years as a commissioner, I've always looked up to your advice and counsel, so I hope I can continue, even though as chairman, to look towards you for those moments of sage wisdom and assistance.
As I always say, absolutely, Little Cricket.
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, wait, don't you have to hit it one time?
We're still on
Chairman, discussion.
Hey, Joe Cricket.
Okay, so